What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And today I'm going to be continuing and finishing my series of revisiting the Star Wars saga with the big one, probably the most talked about Star Wars film of all time for good and bad reasons, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. And yeah, I remember back in the day, man. I remember back in the day when this movie came out and I was contemplating doing a review and I didn't end up doing a review. And there's been you guys know everything about The Last Jedi. You know what the reception was, you know the hate, you know all of it. And I was talking to one of my friends at school the other day, and how they actually kind of liked Rise of Skywalker, and don't really like this movie. And he said something very interesting to me, which was, it just isn't Star Wars. He said, I don't like Last Jedi because it just isn't Star Wars. And that kind of made me start thinking, like, what is Star Wars to you? Like, what is Star Wars to certain people that don't like this movie? Like, what did they want out of it that they didn't get from it? I don't really... That's the thing. I've never heard a valid criticism, really, of it. Like, there are people that critique it, and they have valid criticisms, but most people just seem to not like it because there's not enough fan service and stuff like that. It's like, if every movie ever was fan service, guys, I would die. I would be dead. Like, not every movie can be complete fan service. And this movie does strike a problem with the new trilogy, which is either they should have probably let Rian Johnson direct the final two films of this trilogy, or they should have let J.J. Abrams make an entire trilogy and let Rian Johnson make another film in the future. I like this movie personally. I think it carries what was set up in The Force Awakens well enough. It carries it over well enough. I love all the stuff with Rey and Luke and Kylo Ren, really all of that stuff. I really think that Finn, if they'd given Finn something more in this movie, if they had let Finn sacrifice himself, it would have worked so much better, and the message of the movie would have worked so much better. But the whole Rose thing, it just doesn't make any sense. There's so, especially, the whole hate for the Rose character has gone over the top, but the actual messaging behind the character when she says, this is how we're gonna win, not fighting what we hate, but saving what we love. It's such mixed messaging, because right behind them, the wall is blowing up, so it's like, she saved Finn, but, her plan was to crash into Finn. Finn could have died either way. How did you know Finn was going to survive the crash? You could have crashed into him and killed him, or let him sacrifice himself intentionally. He would have possibly died either way. And then she says, oh, we're going to save the day, but right behind them, the bad guys are winning. The messaging is so mixed and weird. But there's some really admirable themes in here. Luke has, honestly, an incredible character arc and I've always loved the scene with Yoda. The scene with Yoda is probably my favorite scene in the film. And one of my favorite Star Wars scenes ever. He says to Luke, basically, young Skywalker, always looking to the horizon. And he, at the very end of the scene, he says, we are what they strive to become, or something along those lines. We are what they grow beyond, is what Yoda says. And it's really a beautiful scene. The movie is, honestly, I still think it's really good. I love the fight with the Praetorian Guards. I like what they do with a lot of the characters once again. But the mixed messaging with Rose, all that stuff, it doesn't work very well. Holdo, I think, is honestly kind of a terrible person, and then she has this awesome moment where she blasts through the ships, but, that doesn't really make her a better person. All Poe wanted was a straight answer as to whether or not they had a plan. Poe thought they were all going to die. I'm honestly on Poe's side. I haven't changed sides. They're supposed to be oh, Poe, you're so rascally, or you're such a hotshot, but it's no, I agree with him. She should have just told them that she had a plan. There's no harm in not telling them that you have a plan. You're causing more trouble. They try to make her seem like such a good, wise person, but it's no, she's not. It was really dumb what she did. Stuff like that is just so weird. This movie's such a mixed bag in terms of that. There's just weird stuff, but it's there's kind of one side of the movie that I really like, and one side that's just not as good. Finn almost has a clear character arc, but just it doesn't, because Rian Johnson does subvert expectations. Sometimes he does it in the right way. Other times he does it in the wrong way and kind of ruins the actual thematic purpose of the ideas. Like, Finn sacrificing himself would have been perfect, but then for the sake of subverting expectations, you have Rose fly in and crash into him and save him. But that kind of ruins it. So it's kind of weird. Sometimes this movie works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't think it's as good as Force Awakens, but in some ways, some of the ideas they have presented throughout it are good. And it does something different than a lot of other Star Wars films. As much as I love Force Awakens, it is a somewhat of a retread of A New Hope. It doesn't copy it, I don't feel. It more homages to it. But this film does try something new and unique, and although it doesn't always excel at it, I feel like it should be recognized for actually doing something good. So I'm going to give the Star Wars The Last Jedi an A-. Please let me know what you thought of this series as a whole. I really enjoyed making it. It made me relive what I love about Star Wars, and I just really enjoyed making this series. So please let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, as always, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.